musty and horribly hot. She could feel the perspiration gathering at the nape of her neck and tugged on the collar of her starched blouse. Giving Franklin a sympathetic glance, she wondered how any of the employees could work all day in such a dark, gloomy, stifling tomb. She turned to the right and stared longingly at the 3 closed windows. Sunlight streaked through the finger-smudged glass, casting jagged splotches on the worn floorboards, and fragments of dust particles hung suspended in the stagnant air. If she had to wait much longer, she would incite Sherman McCorkle's anger by marching over to the windows and throwing all of them open. She gave up the idea as soon as it entered her mind, because the president would only close them again and give her a stern lecture about bank security. Besides, she would lose her place in line. It was finally her turn. Hurrying forward, she stumbled and bumped her head against the glass of the teller's window. Her shoe had come off. She shoved her foot back inside and felt the tongue coil under her toes. Behind the tellers, dour-faced Sherman McCorkle's door was open. He heard the commotion and looked up at her from his desk behind a glass partition. She gave him a weak smile before turning her attention to Franklin.
"My shoelace came untied," she said in an attempt to explain her clumsiness.
He nodded sympathetically. "Are you all ready to leave?"
"Just about," she whispered,
so that Malcolm, the busybody, wouldn't poke his nose into the conversation. He was already leaning toward Frank, and she knew he was itching to hear the particulars.
"I'll miss you,"
Franklin blurted out. The confession brought a blush that stained his neck and cheeks. Franklin's shyness was an endearing quality, and when the tall, deathly thin man swallowed, his oversized Adam's apple bobbed noticeably. He was at least 20 years her senior, yet he acted like a young boy whenever he was near her.
"I'm going to miss you too, Franklin."
"Are you going to close your account now?" She nodded as she pushed the folded papers through the arched fist-sized opening.
"I hope everything's in order."
He busied himself with the paperwork, checking signatures and numbers, and then opened his cash drawer and began to count out the money. $402 is an awful lot of money to be carrying around.
"Yes, I know it is," she agreed. "I'll keep a close eye on it. Don't worry."
She removed her gloves while he stacked the bills, and when he pushed the money through the opening, she stuffed it into her cloth purse and pulled the strings tight. Franklin cast his employer a furtive glance before leaning forward and pressing his forehead against the glass. "Church won't be the same without you sitting in the pew in front of Mother and me. I wish you weren't leaving. Mother would eventually warm up to you, I'm sure of it." She reached through the opening and impulsively squeezed his hand.
"In the short while that I have lived here, you have become such a good friend. I won't ever forget your kindness to me."
"Will you write?"
"Yes, of course I will."
"Send your letters to the bank so Mother won't see them." She smiled.
"Yes, I'll do that."
A discreet cough told her she'd lingered too long. She picked up her gloves and purse and turned around, searching for a spot out of the traffic where she could retie her shoelace. There was an empty desk in the alcove beyond the swinging gate that separated the customers from the employees. Lamont Morgenstaff usually sat there, but, like Emmeline McCorkle, he too was still recovering from the epidemic. She dragged her foot so she wouldn't step out of her shoe again as she made her way across the lobby to the decrepit, scarred desk in front of the windows. Franklin had confided that McCorkle had purchased all the furniture third-hand from a printer's shop. His thrifty nature had obviously compelled him to overlook the ink stains blotting the wood and the protruding splinters lying in wait for an uncautious finger. It was sinful the way McCorkle treated his employees. She knew for a fact that he didn't pay any of his loyal staff a fair wage because poor